everybody? Welcome into Average Joe Sports Talk. This is our Week 1 preview. We're going to call it Week 1. I'm still not on board with the whole Week 0. But in other words, there is no more jamborees. Everybody's playing for real now. We had some interesting games last week with Etowah, Gadsden City, massive games, the game we were all at. We had some other games. We've had some key injuries across the board. At some teams, there's a lot of stuff happened in that Week 0. So we're going to go right into talking about Fyffe. It was called Champions Night. Fyffe actually traveled to Mars Hill Bible all the way over in Florence. Josh Abercrombie was in attendance there from the channel. Josh said it was top-notch facilities. It was top-notch fans. The atmosphere was unbelievable. And there's actually been a letter written from the coach of Mars Hill Bible to one of the coaches on Fyffe staff saying what kind of class program they had, that the boys cleaned the locker room after they left. It was just an overall great experience for both teams to play each other. Fyffe did come out with the win, 21-13 at Mars Hill. That's pretty massive for a confidence builder in them moving forward. A lot of guys got to play. Coach Benefield said a lot of guys got to play. Fyffe is playing Geraldine this week. Very, very dangerous, very, very tough opponent. They had a big win over Collinsville in the spring. That is very, very, in other words, you better take them very serious. It's an old school slobber knocker type game that I expect from these two, especially when the coach for Geraldine's obviously played for Coach Benefield, and some of Coach Benefield's former staff members are at Geraldine coaching. So it's going to be a very physical, very hard-nosed football game. Coach Benefield and his staff is taking Geraldine very, very seriously. Going to be interesting. I will be in attendance at that one. Hopefully, Fyffe can go over there and get the win. I definitely think they can. It's going to be a very, very tough game, though. Reggie.
Yeah.
Coach Benefield takes them boys serious.
Yes, he does. He does. Geraldine's a very good program. They finished 9-3 last year, so that should tell you a lot about.
They're in 3A.
And they're in 3A, yeah.
Yeah.
So that should tell you a lot about those guys and what they're doing over there. So, but I'm pretty sure Coach Benefield's going to have his guys prepared and ready to go.
I'm ready for that. If you want to see some hard-hitting, straight ahead, ain't much mystery what's going to happen. This is a game you probably want to check into.
Yep.
All right, our next game is going to be the Etowah Blue Devils versus Moody. Moody was actually off last week. Etowah coming off a massive win at Gadsden City. Huge momentum win. A lot of people's buying into what Holiday's selling over there in Etowah now, man. It's hard to see, believe in stuff, and you need to manifest in front of your eyes, and then it's a whole different story. And the players are buying in, the city's buying in. A lot of good things is going on at Etowah right now. Jay, you're the man. You're our Etowah guy. Let me know from an inside perspective what's going on in Etowah right now after that win.
It's a big confidence booster. Friday night, there was a lot of questions going into that game, mainly a lot of doubt. But Friday night, a lot of that credit goes to the defense, man.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The defense was the question mark going into this season. And, Friday night, they controlled the game. They were dominant. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They got stops when they needed to. The front seven for Etowah was beyond outstanding. They looked atrocious. The way they were getting after the quarterback, containing the quarterback, stopping the run when they needed to. The defense overall, man, just shout out to them. They were just beyond expectations. Brady Troop, I expected him to play well. I had confidence in him. He looked good. What do you think?
Shout out to Brady Troop, Average Joe Sports Talk Player of the Week. I'm going to pass this one over to David, who coached a little bit of offense, so he knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
What did you see from Brady?
Brady, I'd heard what Jay said early on. The only time I could see him last year was for half of the Gadsden City game. But this year, just watching for this game, the kid's improved so much. Watching him move around the pocket, he was making throws on the run, rolling out of the pocket, the way he was able to move around, and he was reading the defense. He's finding the open places, and I was super impressed with him. I think he was the difference in the game.
Yeah, he played with confidence. The one thing that caught my eye that he did real well is how he managed it, and especially in the second half, he managed the game, clock management, the way he was operating, he was operating.
He looked calm.
He was calm. He let the game come to him, and that's the way you got to do it.
Yeah.
But overall, he looked good. Trenton and Nana Davis, we expected them to do that. I mean, everybody knew that they were going to dominate. But
they did their part.
They did their part.
They excelled, both of them.
But like I said, most of the credit's got to go to Coach Holliday and the staff.
Yeah.
Holliday came in with a really good game plan. For the most part, he had control of the game. They just came in. They had a really good plan, and he had them boys ready to play, and they were disciplined. That's the one thing I noticed too Friday night is how disciplined they were.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make a lot of mistakes. And like last year, they made a couple. They made more than last year, but this year they didn't make a lot of mistakes at all.
You're right.
Discipline came in a huge play. So, but Etowah, it's going to be a fun year. I'm excited to watch. I know the players and coaches are excited, and I know the community of Etowah is excited. It's going to be a fun year, and I can't wait to see what goes on down the line.
Absolutely. Looking forward to you guys. Come check out Brady Troop Tuesday night, 6:30 at the Gridiron. Anybody in Etowah that sees this video, you're more than welcome. A fan. If you're not a fan, you just want to show support. If you're a fan of another team, please come out and support a local athlete that's done some amazing things on the field. We're going to move on to Collinsville. Collinsville had a massive win over Plainview, 50-6. Plainview, man, and they only scored that 6 late. They had their ones in against Collinsville's basically, second and third team, and they ended up scoring late on them. Went to practice and talked to Coach Willingham today. Extremely good locker room. Everybody's upbeat. Everybody's happy. I walked in, they were cheering. Caleb Jones, seen him first foremost. He thanked us for the coverage, thanked us for everything we do. Caleb's a great kid, looking for great things out of him. He had 175 yards and 4 touchdowns in that opening game. They're playing Crossville this week. I think they go to Crossville. Crossville had a pretty bad loss to Geraldine. I want to say, what was that? 49-13.
49-13.
Geraldine's a very talented team. We will be talking about Geraldine, and obviously in our Fyffe review, but Crossville's had some tough sledding in 5A. Reggie.
They have.
This is a tough team to try to turn it around on, man.
Yeah, it is, and I think a lot of their problem is the issue that's happening on Sand Mountain.
Yep.
You have the Hispanic community's obviously growing up there, and so a lot of the school, most of the kids enrolled at Crossville, I think they're Hispanic, and so you don't have the numbers in football. They're a 5A school, but they may have 3A numbers.
The numbers are not.
And so it's going to be hard for them to compete, in 5A.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, Crossville, they have a fantastic history in football up there. I mean,
yeah, a lot of great athletes. And you look at Collinsville, you say, oh man, this is a 5A versus 2A. No, this just ain't a 2A team. This is a 2A powerhouse. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game, and they're not too far down the road from each other. So David, you're gonna go watch Hewitt this week. Hewitt's playing a team out of Georgia, correct?
Yes, West Forsyth, Georgia.
West Forsyth, Georgia. Now Hewitt beat Pinson in a shootout, 40-37, 36?
40-33.
40-33.
Shootout, yeah. I just looked up some of the stats they had here from that game, and obviously they were replacing a returning quarterback, Paul Tyson, who's now in Alabama. And they apparently decided to go to the ground. We've got Armani Goodwin, who is a Auburn commit, and he went for 218 and 4 scores. So he provided most of the offense. They hit a total of 568, 114 through the air, and the leading receiver was Desmond Warsham, who was one time an Alabama commit. He had 6 receptions for 34 yards. So, sometimes when you lose players, you just got to roll on and go with what you got. It looks like they got a good running back.
Definitely, man.
I've seen him play. He's very impressive. I've seen him in person. He's our money. He's very, yeah. It's he's the truth.
Yeah.
Going to be an interesting game, man. Definitely keep us updated. We'll keep the channel updated with that as well. So if you can't see the score, we'll keep you with the score update. Let's move on to Gadsden City and Oxford. Gadsden City tough loss. Prayers go out to DeMarcus Macon. He got a little bit banged up in the game. Could possibly play this week. We're hoping to get DeMarcus Macon back. Reggie, what from a perspective that you've watched all of Gadsden High's games, and when the schools merged, you've been to all the Gadsden City games just about. Talk to us from the perspective from a fan's point of view. I mean, you are a true fan. What happens in when a game like that, when you drop a tough one like that?
A game that tough, losing that, I know times we lost at Etowah when I was in school. It was tough, but the only thing you have to do is just take the mistakes you made in that loss and pick up and improve on that for your next game. You can't let that one game define your season. You have to move on. And I think the talent's there. There's plenty of athletes on the field, and like I said, it was a tough loss for the guys. I've talked to several of the parents and stuff over the weekend, but nobody's giving up. That's one thing that much I can tell you. Nobody's giving up.
All he had them boys running. I was leaving the house the other day and drove by, and he had them out there running, getting ready. I mean, they're getting ready because Oxford don't get any easier. Oxford's a very tough team.
It does not. Oxford's got their Oxford. They've got several athletes on the field. I think they've got 3 or 4 D1 commits on their defense. So it doesn't get any easier. But again, that's another rivalry game. It could go either way. Oxford had the edge the last couple of years, but I think overall Gadsden City leads the series against Oxford. So this could be the game to for the guys to right the ship and turn their season around, get that momentum they need going into region play.
Shout out to Mr. Blunt. Trey Blunt had an outstanding game at Etowah.
Man,
he had 3 touchdowns, pretty explosive touchdowns.
That dude's fast.
Yeah, he's fast. he can move.
There at the end on that screen pass,
he broke out, dude.
It was, man. God.
Yeah, definitely shout out to him, and of course to Marcus Macon again. He got injured. He was. I think
positive,
he was.
though. Positive.
Yeah. I think he was more upset because he wanted to go back in, but there was no way he could have went back in and finished that game. So
we're praying for you, buddy.
Oh yeah, we definitely are. Definitely are.
I just want. I'm sorry to cut you off, Ray. I just want for Gadsden City. I mean, obviously, having your starting quarterback knocked out in the first half—that's a big blow. Because
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the preparation that goes into a game like that, and if your starting quarterback gets knocked out, it completely changes your entire game plan.
Exactly.
I'm a big one. Yeah, no, you're good. I was just gonna say
all your reps.
A coach's head's just fluttering in.
Yeah.
You're going through your head what you can run, what you can't run, what you're gonna have to adjust, what kind of calls you're gonna have to make different now. And just the ability for Gadsden City to go back to the drawing board now, whichever quarterback's going to play in this game, hopefully Macon can make it back. But if he can't, whichever quarterback's in the game, you're able to go back and prepare for that now. So you're able to go back to the drawing board. Makes a huge difference.
It does. And one good thing too about Gadsden City, they came out. They had a chance to win that game or tie the game late in the fourth quarter. They were running their 2-minute offense, and there was a turnover. I mean, they were moving the ball, and there was an interception right there, that kind of sealed the game for Etowah. So it kind of makes you think, too, if DeMarcus doesn't get hurt, is there a different outcome in that game?
Right.
But shout out to Etowah. They played a great game. They had a great game plan. Coaches and everybody over there.
Oh, yeah, and another player we forgot to mention that also had a big game was Ollie Finch.
Oh, yeah, for Etowah. Yeah,
Ollie Finch.
Absolutely.
He had he caught some big time passes in that game, and plus he was the one that sealed the game with the pick.
Yeah, Ollie Finch did have a great game.
My bad, dude. Don't take it out on me.
It's all good. He's throwing it in during the Gadsden City preview, but we got it.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna turn it off after the Etowah. All right, let's move on to Ohatchee. They were actually they played a jamboree versus Piedmont in a very, very tight game. You don't know. Again, you don't never know what they're going to show up, what they're going to show. Coach Martin and the troops are going to be ready. They're playing White Plains, who had a 42-12 win over. Who did they play again? They beat somebody 42-12.
Vincent.
Vincent, that's right. 42-12 over Vincent. So I don't know how good Vincent is. So I do know how good Ohatchee is. So this is going to be an interesting game. Dominic Thomas, telling you right now, get on the train. He's the real deal Holyfield. We was putting his highlight reel together, and I mean, it looked like something out of a comic book or something, man. He had some unbelievable. He had a punt return where he spun out and broke 2 or 3 tackles, and that guy's unbelievable. He's getting recruited by some heavy hitters. So, looking forward to that game, Coach Martin. Good luck. Again, White Plains. I don't know that much about them. We did see that they won big over Vincent, but Ohatchee and Vincent, it's going to be 2 different teams. I can assure you that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Central Clay. Central Clay and Danny Horn is going on the road to his old school that he coached at, Benjamin Russell. The reason this is very special is Central Clay can pull this victory out at Benjamin Russell. It's going to be Danny Horn's 300th victory. Our very own Joshua Abercrombie will be in attendance at that game. We are looking forward to that game big time. It's going to mean a lot for Danny Horn to go back there, and they're doing something at Benjamin Russell. I think they're naming the stadium.
They're renaming the stadium after Steve Savarese and Willie Carl Martin, I do believe. I think both of them coached at Benjamin Russell, and I think they were instrumental in getting that stadium built. So I think that's why they're going to name it after them. But it's kind of odd that they're doing it on the night that Danny Horn's coming to town. So
Danny Horn has the chance to go over there and just squash this.
Spoil that night.
This has got spoiler written on. When Danny Horn wins a game, you can't really call it spoiling. You know what I mean?
No.
That's kind of expected. The guy's got 7 rings, arguably one of the greatest coaches in the history of this state. I don't think anybody can question that. But it is interesting that they're doing it on the night that Danny Horn's returning, man. I'm really interested in see that.
They're expecting, huh? They're looking forward to an upset, probably.
I want you to talk about this, David. Benjamin Russell as a whole. The program that they normally run over there.
Well, and obviously I don't know a whole lot about them right now, but as a tradition, Benjamin Russell's got some of the best traditions in the state. Before Hoover was a big name, or before a lot of these teams that are powerhouses now, before they were big names, Benjamin Russell was the powerhouse, and they were the one that drove the state for a while. And in the South, the title went through Benjamin Russell. So the history there, even Coach Horn obviously got his own history, but when you got a history like Benjamin Russell, you usually don't just roll over. So
that's right. Good point. Our next game, we got my man Hayden in again. Hayden, I want you to talk about those Ashville Bulldogs. Had a big win against rival Ragland last week, 35-0. Talk about the atmosphere, what went on in the game, and what you seen.
Good Lord, man. It was a really good game for Asheville. They came out and they showed everybody what they had been preparing for, and how Asheville lived up to the hype, and student section was on fire. I'm sure that fueled the team a little bit, and they just came out and executed the game out early.
I'll say this. I know when you showed up to my house Saturday to watch football, you had no voice.
Oh, yeah. No, in that student section, they get you riled up. No.
I like it, brother.
Yeah, it's still not fully back yet either. So
I like where your head's at, man. We're going to have a return. This week we're going to have a return performance from you because you guys play in Springville, right?
Oh yeah.
Talk about that game a little bit. They won 28-6 over
28-6 over Hayden.
Hayden, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that should be a really good game. The quarterback Pearson Baldwin, from what I saw last week, he's going to be a key factor, and we're going to have to keep him contained. He ran for 2 of the touchdowns late in the fourth quarter to seal the game, and I think Asheville's defense is really going to have to step up if they want to contain him. He can move, and all around they're just going to have to execute the game and come out firing on all cylinders.
Well, they played pretty good against Ragland for sure. I mean, to hold them down like that, because Ragland's supposed to be pretty decent this year. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that game would turn out. I mean, I thought you guys would win. I didn't think it'd be that ugly though. All right, moving on. Move on to the next one. You want to sit on these? We'll talk. You just sit in with us. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Let's talk about Southside. Southside had a gut-wrenching loss last week, 26-20 to Lincoln.
Yeah.
Very gut-wrenching loss. They actually had their chances in that game. Man, tough loss. Things don't get any easier. Now you got to go to the woodshed and play Hokes Bluff, who is coming off, I guess you'd say, a 14-7 win. And the Jamboree game got cut short by lightning. David, I want you to dive into this one a little bit. It's not a region game, but there's a lot of pride in this county. Go ahead, and I'll let you take over on this.
Southside Hokes Bluff's always been a big rivalry. I mean, that's always as long as I can remember. That's going to be played on the first Thursday night of football season, which now is technically the second Thursday night. But that was always the way it started off right there. Two teams look forward to that all summer long. As a football team, you're going to look forward to your first game no matter what. But if it's your neighbor, that just adds another spice to the rival. So when you look forward to that all year long, and when you're doing summer workouts, when you're doing sprints during the summer, you get down to that last one you really don't want to do. All you got to do is say the other team's name, and y'all just get one out of it.
That's it. You're right. And in this case right here, it's going to be an interesting matchup because Hokes Bluff offensively, with Darian Meads, Ashton Gullidge, you know what you're getting. You're going to get a downhill running game, but then they're going to be running downhill into Chance Moon and company. This is going to be a spectacular game. Reggie, I'm going to let you take over a little bit.
Yeah, this is actually one of the games I've been looking forward to all year. Like you said, it's Southside and Hokes Bluff. What else can you say about it? It's a huge county rivalry. Both communities look forward to this game, and it's gonna be a packed house. So if you're going to that game, I would definitely get there early, because you may not have anywhere to sit after by 6:30. So you may not have a place to sit. But I'm definitely looking forward to this game because there's several athletes on both sides of the ball for both schools.
And a beautiful part about it, those kind of Thursday night games like this, is all the players from all the teams in the county comes and watches it.
Yep.
Everybody wants to come watch it.
Yep.
Who wouldn't want to see, Darian Meads running against Southside's defense, had 3 guys on the all-county, overall all-county preseason that we did, not just the, county, like our all-county preview, including the city schools and private schools, had 3 guys on off their defensive unit.
Yeah.
On that all-county defense. So that one will be a very interesting game at the Woodshed, 7 o'clock Thursday night. Better get there early. All right, so the next game is going to be Westbrook and Ragland. That's going to be a very interesting game. Westbrook looked very impressive. David, I want you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Westbrook, you can tell how physical a team they are. I mean, they run downhill. The quarterback looked like he was calm under pressure in the game. They looked like they were able to establish what they wanted to early, and that led to a lot of success throughout the game. But defensively, man, they're just men out there. It's a good, solid team all around. Yeah.
Yep.
Offense looked unstoppable for a little bit.
Yeah, they looked very good. They looked the part. Like you said, defensively, they looked very good. Especially, I mean, they were getting penetration every play, and then our man John Reese. We love John Reese, but everybody, they was getting people on the ground before they can get to John Reese. We kept waiting for John Reese to get somebody, that knockout punch. But man, they were getting them down before John Reese could get his hands on them. But he's gonna show out. They're gonna need him in some of these games coming up for sure. Now they're playing Ragland, and I want my man Hayden to talk about that. What did you see from Ragland? What style of offense did they run?
I saw a little bit of an Army and Navy in them. They ran that a little bit.
Kind of an option type stuff.
Yeah. They sent them in motion and stuff, and I think they're really going to have to get their offense moving.
Did they move the ball and just turn it over, or did they have trouble moving it all
They
night?
just had trouble moving it all night, and I think that's going to be the X factor. They're going to have to move the ball, and they're going to have to get stops on defense. I mean, that's how football works. But,
Yeah.
I mean, every team needs that, and Ragland definitely needs it this coming week.
So 50-24, Westbrook won last week over a pretty talented Coosa team. I mean, they had some athletes.
Definitely.